Hey, I hope you're well. I guess I've got another review for you all. NanoApostle was the game that I hadn't seen much coverage about, so I thought I'd play and review the game. I picked up the game last year, but I've only just got around to playing it now, so let's firstly go through some outside information about it. The game released on PC back in 2024. I believe it's also on all other consoles, or at least that's what a quick Google search told me. The game was developed by 18 Light, which is an indie developer. I thought I'd mention this just to help introduce the game to you guys and hopefully get more people to check out this game along with more indie games. I think last year was the year of indie games, so why not continue to give them more spotlight? I wanted to go through the story before anything else just because I thought it was alright for a game of this size. We play as a young girl called Anita who wakes up in a secret research facility with no idea who we are, where we are, or why we're even there. Accompanying us is Apostle, an nanomachine which is designed to protect Anita and also prevent her from escaping the facility. Apostle is going to name Kuro by Anita, so I'll be calling him Kuro throughout. We meet an AI called Winnie. I guess I'll just stick with Winnie as that's what's used in the game. She kind of looks over us while we're fighting these enemies and also helps improve the function of Kuro. And it's actually Winnie who gives Anita her name, along with providing emotional support for Anita. To keep it nice and concise, Winnie can't leave the facility but wants Anita to and helps her leave, so the game revolves around them two working towards an escape plan and executing it, but in the end things kind of go awry. If you're seeing my content for the first time, or you're part of the 99% of viewers who aren't subscribed to me, please consider subscribing, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, let's get back on with this review now that that's out of the way. So let's talk about the most important part of the game, and probably the main reason people would be interested in playing it. Is the combat good and are the bosses challenging? Yes. And yes, the combat is intense and fast paced, which I always enjoy. Also, the game has parrying. Parrying things is just so satisfying. The combat is expanded as you complete fights, which is largely thanks to Winnie providing modules that alter Kuro's combat. Each boss is built upon nicely and increased proportionally in challenge, with last two bosses being two of my favourites. There are only 6 bosses in this game. Like I said, it's a smaller game, but for what it offers, I think it was very enjoyable. Holy shit was the last boss fight good. Finding out there was a third phase was a shock, and that was my final attempt as well. I had no idea up until that point. Alongside these bosses were many challenges that could be completed in each encounter, such as making it into a second phase a number of times, parrying 50 like attacks, hacking into things or other small stuff. You get the idea. As a reward for completing these challenges, you are rewarded with expansion points, which could be used to buy new modules, with each module offering something unique with their own risks and reward. In between boss fights, the player could complete mini challenges such as obstacle courses and clearing rooms of enemies. Firstly, the design of these enemies and their attacks was well designed and balanced. They offered unique challenges outside of the bosses and could act as a way to test a build without having to start any fights, although fights were replayable, which I appreciated. When completing this side content, you were also rewarded with expansion points, so you could buy even more modules and customize your skills further, which leads nicely onto my next point. The customization available in this game is actually quite a bit better than what I was expecting. A lot of time and attention went into the customization and balancing of these skills, which I think is displayed nicely when you actually mix your modules. Each module provided something unique and more often than not required you to be selective about what you wanted to use, as some modules imposed penalties. For example, some buffs were lost for like 10 seconds when healing, so you had a trade-off when using it in combat. The art direction was interesting. I found that it was simple but refined. With so many games these days using Unreal Engine, which not really is an issue by the way, or not being properly optimized, I'm looking at you AAA games that are rushed. I thought it was a nice change in pace to experience a game with such a simple art style. I think it helps the game stand out. The art style for the combat was really satisfying. Along with that, the cutscenes were also really good. You could tell a lot of time went into designing them, which I appreciated and I thought helped refine the experience. I find that art design is also closely tied to sound design, often complementing each other, so let's talk about the sounds. Firstly, there was no voice acting, so I can't comment on that, so yeah. I thought the overall sound design was good. You could use it to your advantage when learning parrying windows. Like the art design, I thought the sounds of the bosses was quite good. It complemented their design quite well. The music in the game is really good. Hearing it in the background throughout the fights was nice. In regard to the performance, it's solid. I don't really have much to say about it. No crashes, no stuttering. I thought that'd be expected, but as always, it's something I like to consider when reviewing these games, just because obviously different setups and consoles perform differently. So I think the game actually does quite a lot well. As mentioned earlier on, the combat is fast paced, it's intense, the bosses are actually quite challenging, and it feels rewarding finally getting through each fight. The art style is good and the music is even better. My only complaint, and it's very minuscule, is that the game doesn't really give much context behind the actual facility facility, and I guess the need for the facility. I think if the story was expanded just ever so slightly to include these small little parts that tie it together and provide a bit more depth, then I think it would have been a great story. It's good, but I think it just needs a little bit more to really get the player engaged. But as always with boss rushes, the bulk of the storytelling is through your gameplay experience, so in that regard it's quite good. Would I recommend playing the game? Yep, I don't really need to say much more if I'm honest. Oh, never mind, I actually do. The game took a fair bit of time to complete, with my first full playthrough taking around 5 hours, which I found to be quite normal because I thought I would take a look at other reviews online when writing this part of the script, and lots of other people have playtimes from the 6 to 8 hour range. In a perfect playthrough where you get everything done first time around, it'll take like 2 hours or something, maybe, I don't really know. But that's pretty much all I've got to say for this game. It's a shorter review than normal, but I think the game doesn't really need much more saying about it. It's a small little game that does a great job. Thank you as always for sticking around for so long. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you like, consider liking the video, I'd really appreciate it. Well, I'll see you around, and heads up, the next video I'm working on will be a fun one, so I hope to see you there. Anyway, have a good day.